Hey traders, in this video we are going to look at 20 questions you may be asked during an investment bank job interview in the city or the street. Stay tuned. Hey traders, very well, welcome to you. So I know we've got some viewers out there and subscribers who are looking for a job in the trading world, proprietary trading firm, investment bank, whatever it may be, starting off as a junior level, wanting to work their way up. Good luck to you if you are. So, bit of research for you guys, just for you who are maybe going for a job interview at these IBs, whether it's in the city or the street or wherever it may be. 20 questions that you might be asked. Now, I'm not going to go through all the answers to these. I might stop and pause on a couple of them and discuss them, but some of them you can see how they will flip you as an interviewer. When you're going in, they will kind of look at one side of you, then they'll ask you something really unusual, and it's basically to see how you perform under pressure. And most of these questions are really, there might be a right or wrong answer for some of these specifically, but a lot of them it's your thought processing going, how you get to the result. So they'll ask you a really crazy question that you'll see in a second, and you won't know the answer to it, but what they want to see is how you go about solving the problem. Whether you get to the right answer or not is almost irrelevant. It's again how you decide, hey, I'll make an assumption here, I'll make an assumption here, put those two assumptions together and I'm going to get something in the right sort of ballpark. Anyway, let's talk through the questions. So first one, which is greater, 17% of 34 or 34% of 17? Pretty simple answer for that one. Next one, what is going on in the economy? This is an interesting one, just talking about, hey, you're gonna show how knowledgeable you are about current affairs. You don't have to have a specific answer for this, but it's all just going to be about, hey, I'm thinking about this, I'm looking at that, the other, just to show you up to date with current affairs. Next one, if a specific data was announced, which 5 trades would you make? So they might say to you, hey, if we saw a sudden interest rate rise, or we saw a sudden increase in non-farm payrolls, or we saw a court ruling against technology firms, they're going to give you some kind of seed announcement when they ask you which 5 trades would you make. And again, there's no right or wrong answer to this, but say for example, if there was a legislation on privacy, for example, across social media, an easy one, you might say, well, I'm going to short Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and maybe you'd then go long something else. You know, you'd have to make it up on as you went along. But you get the idea. The other one, another question for you. Do you think Apple is a good buy? This is just going to be a reason why and justify it. And I'd probably guess if you're a Samsung or you're an Android or an iPhone owner, you'll say one or the other. If I handed you $1 million and asked you to generate some alpha over the next 6 to 12 months, what would you do and how would you trade? Great question. No right or wrong answer. They just want you to say, justify why you're going to do that. Obviously, the wrong answer for that would be to buy an S&P 500 tracker. Next question is, what can a firm accomplish in Chapter 11 that it can't accomplish out of court? Tricky one, this, if you're not familiar with the process of all that. And don't be frightened to say this and, I'm not familiar. Give me another question. They'd rather that than you stumble through it. What could be the reasons for 2 companies operating in the same industry trading at different EBITDA multiples? That's a cool question. Why would a creditor elect to receive equity via a restructuring process as opposed to debt? Curious, interesting question. Walk me around the world and tell me about the markets as you go. What an awesome question. I love this question. This is the kind of question where you could really get into it and you could say, okay, let's start in Sydney, Australia. Sydney, Australia is a commodity based, they export a lot of copper, blah, blah, blah. And then you can walk away over to Japan. You could talk about the aging demographic there. Let's not go through the answer of it, but you could get quite excited about that, couldn't you? Next one, 4 asset classes: gold, oil, US 10-year treasury interest rates, and the S&P. Pick one and tell me where it is now, and where you see it going in the next 6 months and why. This is why it pays to be, at least have some understanding of what the current markets are doing and some ideas of what's driving them as well. And they're giving you a bit of an out there because they're giving you 4 to choose from, rather than just saying, hey, tell me about gold or oil. And you're like, I haven't really traded those for a while. Okay, tell us about a deal that we've done that interests you and why it interests you. This is your due diligence on the firm. Make sure you've got your due diligence done on them. Explain quantitative easing to me. That's be a tricky one, but you should be able to get that across reasonably well. Talk to me about the shape of the yield curve. Again, challenging one if you're not into your interest rates, but kind of thing that they, I guess it would depend on the job you're going for, right? It's got nothing to do with interest rates, with interest rates and with the price of bonds, then you're probably not going to ask this question. How do you value a mining company? What multiples are most appropriate? Pretty interesting one. If you don't know, you can make some guesses on that, couldn't you? The cost of the commodity, the prices, all this kind of stuff, how much money they're making, where the commodity price is at the moment. Where is the world headed? Well, it's an open-ended question. Describe a few instances where you have failed. This is a common question, not just for IBs, but for general interviews, isn't it, guys? Describe the major transactions that have happened this year in the whatever industry. So that would be kind of very industry specific, I guess, to say, hey, describe the major transactions that have happened this year in the retail industry if you're going for a retail sector analyst job or something like that. They're probably not going to ask you that if it's irrelevant to you. Assume you're an investor and you come across a family-owned business for sale. What are the first thing you do or want to know in order to determine what you're willing to pay for the business? How would you think about valuing the business? Great question again. I like that question. That is something you could really get stuck into and really show your competence about understanding the business world and how it works. Number 9, sell me this water bottle. If you've seen Wolf on Wall Street, you'll know where that comes from. Sell me this pen, sell me this water bottle. Okay, tell me, and by the way, just going on that, touch on that quickly, the answer isn't to talk about how good the water bottle is, it's to talk about why you need the water bottle. If you don't have a bottle of water with you, you'll die, kind of thing. That's the way they want to look at it, structuring it around the need for the bottle to hold the water as opposed to the actual features of the bottle. That makes sense. Right. Tell me about something you recently read in the news that you think will have a positive or negative implication for the US or global equity markets. Shows that you've got to be up au fait with current affairs. Last one here for you guys. Once you receive offers from a number of firms, what will be the most important factors to you as you think through which one to accept? Sneaky question this. They basically want to see this is almost gaming theory, right? They want to see, hey, how are you thinking? What will we offer? How will we present an offer if you want to that will make sure that you take it? So that's interesting. On the final one, they might just say, tell me a joke. So you've got to be prepared for everything, guys. Those are 20, probably 21 questions you might be asked. As you can see, the running theme through all of this is to make sure you understand about the markets, you understand what drives the markets, you have a good understanding of current market conditions and what's driving the markets currently, what's on their mind currently, and that you understand business. Because even if you don't need to understand deep depths of accounting policies and digging into balance sheets, just a common sense understanding, like I say, a lot of those questions were, what would you do under these circumstances? So it's understanding the consequences of an action that knock onto a business. How do you value this business? What would happen if this happened? Quite an interesting but broad way of looking at it, to make sure that you know your stuff and that you are really interested in the markets, because this kind of questions can't be answered if you really don't have an interest in the markets and capitalism and business and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, if you're going for a job interview with any of the IB firms or any of the prop firms or whatever it may be, best of luck to you. See you next one. Take care. Bye-bye.